On the Middle East, Australia has joined other nations, including the US, Japan, Canada, France, Italy, Germany, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar and the EU, calling for a 21-day ceasefire across the Israel-Lebanon border and reinstating calls for a ceasefire in Gaza.
We condemn Hezbollah's continued attacks on Israel. But I do say again, Lebanese civilians cannot be made to pay the price of defeating Hezbollah. The global community has made clear that this destructive cycle must stop. What has happened in recent days only makes an immediate ceasefire in Gaza even more urgent. You would have heard me say this before, and I say it again, Lebanon cannot become the next Gaza.
Look, this is just political weakness and moral equivalence. This is indicative of the moral cowardice and strategic ambivalence of the international community. Any diplomatic deal that eases the pressure on Hamas and Hezbollah, that leaves their terrorists and weapons stockpiles in place, is not a real move towards peace, but an extension of the war against Israel being orchestrated by Iran through the Islamist extremist proxies. So where is the pressure on Iran? Where is the commitment to protect Israel and its citizens? Look, there's a very simple and brutally obvious equation for the people of southern Lebanon, and all the blame for it lies with Hezbollah. And that is that it will only be safe for the people of southern Lebanon to return to their homes when it's safe for the people of northern Israel to return to their homes. And that can't happen with Hezbollah and its weapons without them being cleared out. But instead of moral clarity from countries like the US, UK and our own, we get pathetic political posturing driven by protest movements that are so divorced from any sense of reality or ethical understanding that they can fairly be described as insane. Listen to Greta Thunberg.
In Palestine and all over the world, the fight against colonialism and corporations' destruction of the planet are intrinsically linked. As Israel bombs hospitals, homes and schools in Gaza, Chevron supplies them with energy. Ending Israel's genocide in Gaza and Israeli apartheid is a climate justice issue.
Corporations, climate change, genocide, colonialism. What hope do we have when this is the level of debate and some politicians, influential politicians, take this warped nonsense seriously while they ignore hostages still being held and ongoing missile barrages and terrorist attacks against Israel? The moral weakness is everywhere. How about this from the UK? The producers of a documentary about the horrific slaughter of hundreds of young Israelis by Hamas terrorists at the Nova Music Festival on October the 7th have revealed that in order to get their documentary run on the BBC, they had to promise not to describe Hamas as a terrorist organisation. Unbelievable. Yet you hear this all the time on our ABC too. They like to call these Islamist extremist terrorists, people who believe in a death cult and slaughter babies and children and young girls, they like to call them militants, which is a grotesque way of making them sound legitimate, making them sound like freedom fighters. It's factually incorrect and it's morally repugnant. And just to follow up on that vision I brought you last night, where protesters at a rally for Lebanon on Tuesday night in Sydney were seen to be wearing the symbol, the flag of Hezbollah, the bloodthirsty terrorist organisation that is banned in many countries, including in Australia. The Australian Federal Police have responded comprehensively to our query about the legality of such displays. And they confirmed that it is an offence to publicly display a prohibited symbol where specific thresholds are met. But those thresholds are quite specific. The symbol has to be displayed where the conduct involves spreading ideas of racial superiority or hatred, inciting others to offend, advocating hatred, intimidating or using violence against people based on their race, religion or nationality, or it's likely to offend, insult or intimidate people because of a defining character. Well, I reckon publicly displaying the flag of Hezbollah, a terror group committed to the elimination of Israel, meets that criteria. It's up to the state and federal police on the beat to enforce those laws. They have the legal power to demand people remove those symbols. But as you know, so far in Australia, the only arrests they've made and the only symbols they've seized are a couple of supporters of Israel and the Israeli flag. Our moral cowardice and intellectual confusion is dangerous.